receive and consider the report of the Senate Committee on Finance on Nigerian Tax and Fiscal Amendment Bill, Finance Bill 2019. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, I so move. Introduction. The Finance Bill was presented together with the Appropriation Bill to the National Assembly by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, on the 14th of October 2019. The Senate, at its sitting on Wednesday, 6th of November 2019, read the Tax and Fiscal Law Amendment Bill 2019 Finance Bill the second time, and refers same to the Committee on Finance for further legislative action. Within the legislative standing order, the bill seeks to amend 6 tax provisions and make them more responsive to tax reform policies, and also 1 Custom and Excise Tariff Act to encourage local manufacturers. The bill subject certain imported goods. This will subject certain imported goods to excise duty in a similar manner as their locally manufactured counterparts. The 7 acts to be amended under this Finance Bill 2019 contain a total of 56 clauses, and the committee immediately swung into action, held several meetings with members and critical stakeholders, and is expected to lay its report within 2 weeks. The membership of the committee 3.0, we have the list of the acts to be amended in the Finance Bill. The bill specifically seeks to, among other things, amend the following tax provision and make them more responsive to the tax policies of the federal government and enhance in implementation and effectiveness. The initiative to reform the tax system and the proposed modification to the fiscal rules around taxation are clearly aimed at creating an enabling business environment and minimizing the tax burden for micro, small, and medium enterprise, the MSME. The acts to be amended in the Finance Bill are as follows. The Company Income Tax Act, Cap C21/2004, as amended today, and listed below are the various headings inside the Principal Act that was amended. 2. The Value Added Tax Act, Cap 6, Law LHN 2007, as amended. Also listed below are the various headings inside the Principal Act that was amended. 3. We have the Custom and Excise Tariff Consolidation Act, Cap C49/2004. The only amendment sought in that particular act is good liable to excise duty. 4. The Personal Income Tax Act, Cap P8 LFN 2007, as amended. Also listed underneath are the various headings of provisions to be amended. 5. We have the Capital Gains Tax Act, Cap C1 LFN 2007. And 6. We have the Stamp Duty Act, Cap S8 LFN 2007. And lastly, the Petroleum Profit Tax Act, PPT A 2004. The objective of the bill: 1. To promote fiscal equity by mitigating instances of regressive taxation. 2. Reform domestic tax law to align with global best practices. 3. Introduce tax incentive for investment in infrastructure and capital markets. 4. Support small businesses in line with the ongoing ease of doing business reform. And 5. Raise revenue for the government. The methodology adopted, Mr. President, is reported in 5.0. 6.0, Mr. President, that contains the public hearing. The committee conducted a public hearing on Tuesday, the 19th of November, 2019. The hearing attracted an impressive turnout of committee members, ministries, department agencies, critical stakeholders, civil society organizations, non-government organizations, and members of the public. Mr. President, also contained under the public hearing are the list of those who are invited and appeared and even make their contribution and submission of their memorandum during the public hearing. Observation, reported in 7.0. Following the presentation at the public hearing and submission made by the relevant stakeholders, the committee observed that 1. The bill seeks to amend the provision of the Company Income Tax Act by curbing base erosion and profit shifting as proposed by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and broaden the trigger for domestic taxation of income earned by non-resident companies in Nigeria through dependent agents and via online marketing platform. 2. The bill also seeks to address the taxation of industry such as insurance, startup, and capital markets deemed by the federal government of Nigeria as critical to the growth and development of the Nigerian economy. 3. The bill proposed to improve the efficiency of the Nigerian VAT system, taking into consideration recommendations from various stakeholders groups. Attached herewith is a list of selected countries with their respective VAT rates. 4. The bill also seeks to expand VAT coverage by addressing some critical issues such as taxation of digital economy, VAT registration threshold, and intangibles. 5. The bill wishes to subject certain imported goods to excise duty in a similar manner as their local manufacturer counterparts. 6. The bill also seeks to provide clarity and efficiency in the administration of individual income taxes in Nigeria. 7. The bill also covers the taxation of business combinations and seeks to prevent abuse of provision of the Act on group restructuring. 8. The bill also seeks to increase revenue generation from duties on electronic stamp duty. 9. The bill seeks to improve revenue by removing the tax exemption granted for dividend or income received from companies charged under the Petroleum Profit Tax Act. 10. The bill was a welcome development, and the consensus view was that its proposal and principle should be sustained subject to specific recommendation of the committee. Recommendation. The committee summarized the specific issues raised by the various stakeholders on the relevant sections of the bill. The issues were considered and the following recommendations were made. 1. The committee also noted the initiative of the executive in the finance bill alongside the executive budget proposal and the appropriation bill was welcome and long overdue. Going forward, the executive should be encouraged to propose to the National Assembly the finance bill to support the fiscal policies of the annual budget and should also sustain the initiative on an annual tradition. The committee hereby recommends that the underlying section proposed amendment to the finance bill be approved by the Senate. And listed below, Mr. President, under the Company Income Tax Act, we have 25 provisions being sought after for an amendment into this particular principal act. On the Personal Income Tax Act, we have a total of 8 provisions in the principal act that is being subject to amendment. Under the value added tax, Mr. President, the bill seeks for amendment to 14 different acts of the principal act to be amended. Under the capital gains tax, the bill seeks for amendment into four of the principal acts to be amended, and also the stamp duty sought for a total of 3 of the principal acts to be amended, while the custom and excise seek for 1 out of the principal act to be amended, and also the petroleum profit tax seek for 1 of the principal acts to be amended. Conclusion. The committee expressed appreciation to the leadership of the Senate and also thank the entire members of the committee and staff of the Secretariat who work assiduously to ensure timely completion of the report. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, thank you very much.
Despite the fact that the time frame given to them was very short, I'm sure they took into consideration the need for us as a country to reposition our tax system so that we'll be able to also strengthen our revenue base for the purpose of garnering the necessary funds to fund our needs to develop our country. They've done a wonderful job, Mr. President, and I think without much ado, we should go straight away to go into the clause-by-clause consideration of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Leader of the Senate.
The budget was presented by Mr. President, and we came to this highly reputable chamber to discuss it. I had the honor and the privilege of leading the discussion on the budget of the federal government, 2020 budget. And in leading that debate, members would note that I did not go through the normal process of extending praises and kowtowing the normal line of extolling the position of the executive arm of government, even though that was the expectation that was placed on me by my leadership of the majority of the membership of this chamber. I chose to go and toe the path of honor by actually noting that the major problems of this economy is a problem of revenue. And I also noted that the issue of the Nigerian economy is not an issue for all of us to play politics with. I think playing politics with the nature of the economy that we are facing is a very dangerous matter. And I also drew the attention of distinguished members, particularly the chairman of all the committees, of the important role and the important work that is before all of us, irrespective of the political platforms that brought us to this chamber. Why? Because this economy, as I said on that account, and the leader of the minority leader, of course, used it to draw some innuendos against me, which I accepted, but I thought I had to state the facts of the matter, irrespective of which party is leading this country at the moment. The issue of the economy is an issue that is beyond politics. To me, that's why I raised this very, very important observation. Whether it is APC today or it's PDP tomorrow, we have to come out and look at this matter and think of...
Leader, you are protected.
We should look at this matter. We should look at this matter in a non-partisan way and look at it dispassionately. The major problem for some of us who have been students of economics and also teachers of economics, the major problem of the Nigerian economy is revenue. It's not debt. It's revenue. I will repeat. This is a 140 trillion economy, which hardly raises 8 billion in revenue. And a lot of the issues that are there is as a result of discretion. We have allowed our laws and the way in which we manage the economy to be run on the basis of discretion. As a result of that, we have not been able to raise the necessary revenues that are very vital for the implementation of the major programs of any administration, whether it's an APC administration or a PDP administration. The time for us to change. No, let's be very clear about that. Let's be very clear about that.
Leader, now, leader is like you are not likely to be protected anymore.
With due apologies to my members of my ruling party, I implore us to look at these issues that we are going to look at today in a very dispassionate and bipartisan way. We are talking about the future of this country. We are talking about the implementation of this budget. If we are to implement this budget 100%, we will have to swallow whatever political positions we have so that we can look at this issue dispassionately and pass the suggested amendments that are contained in the 7 bills that are now before for our consideration. I raise my case.
Thank you very much, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ibikule Amusu, I represent Ogun Central. Let me join my voice in commending the Committee of Finance, the chairman and members, for a job well done. But let me say, Mr. President, that leaders must be ready to take tough decisions. Once those decisions are for altruistic reason and in the best interest of our nation and our people. Governments are no magicians. You cannot give what you don't have. Yes, all of us come here every day. We complain about our infrastructures. We complain about almost everything, and which is what I call all these complaints. These are genuine complaints. We complain our road is not good. Yesterday we spoke at length on power. We want to diversify our economy. All of these good initiatives that we desire for our country will not be realized if we do not have the necessary revenue, of course, to achieve all of this. Yes, I agree that it will not just be by way of tax alone, but truly and clearly. And I'm happy that all of us here, we have the opportunity of tasting the other clients, how they operate. Indeed, if you look at the quantum of taxes that are being paid in all of those other clients, I will compare with what we are doing here, then you know clearly that there's this huge gap. And if we do not have the necessary wherewithal to fund all of these projects, infrastructure, education, health, power, name it, agriculture, tourism that we spoke about yesterday, we will need the necessary wherewithal to fund them. I'm happy that in these taxes that we are even looking at, it is not targeted at the downtrodden. If I've looked at it, this is my turf, I look at it. I am happy that, I can speak about stamp duty now, for instance. We are not getting anything from it. And you know, every day, it's not just about stamp duty, all the various gamut of taxes that there are. So all of this has been covered. And I know that Nigeria will be the better for it. The beauty of it is this: all this money being generated will not be squandered, will not be looted. We all know that whatever money that we get, we can see it, we can attest to it that this money are being judiciously used. So, Mr. President, I want to join my voice and in urging our people that this is not about party. This is about our country. And this is not about this budget now. What we are doing today will be for the next maybe several years. Maybe before we review this, maybe the next 5 years or even maybe more. So, on that note, I want to support this bill, and I want to urge my colleagues that we should do away with partisanship. We should look at the message, including even the messenger in this instance. So, Mr. President, I so submit. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished colleagues, so if you have any comments, it should be on the report and it should be brief, because we have to consider the reports clause by clause. Senator
represent the Rivers Central District. Mr. President, I want to commend the chairman on the Committee of Finance. I commend him because less than 3 weeks, this document, the bills were referred to him, about seven bills. And within this short period, he's been able to put them together, organize public hearing, compile the reports, and brought it forward to us for consideration. For me, the most important aspect of these bills is even the public hearing, where outside us, experts in different fields, who are our constituents, I've looked at the bills with him, and they have done maybe their own amendments. And perhaps based on that, he has put this report together for us. If the budget is proposed based also on this finance, based on the amendments, as a person from the opposition party, I will support it. I am supporting it because I don't want to hear that because we did not amend these bills. The much money we were expecting did not come. And for me, it is good to raise the funds by ourselves than borrowing from outside. We have borrowed enough. We should not think about inward and see how we can generate revenue. There is one thing that is certain, even the village woman understands, that it's difficult for people to pay NEPA bills. We are used to free things. Nigerians are used to free things. Maybe that is how the founding fathers structured the economy. Otherwise, the amount of taxes we pay here compared to other climates, other countries, I don't think that we are paying too much taxes. But unfortunately, our economy too is not doing too well. So the people now don't also have the money. Now, if you also overtax them again, that will also be a problem. So I believe that if we take in between and then address the clauses, we will be arriving at something very good, very good. The only comment I will make, which is not what most people will disagree with me, is that 200 pages of a document about that, to look at them now and also perfect them. It needs certain magicians like the leader, the minority leader, and perhaps the senior president. But those of us who are still managing to catch up, it will be a little bit difficult. But we sit here and follow your speed, so we'll get them through. That's my case. Thank you
very much.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Comrade Abba Patrick Moro, representing the very good people of the Benue South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I actually want to ask for some clarifications on this clause-by-clause consideration of the finance bill on issues that border on the value-added tax. Mr. President, I've looked at the annexures that have been put here. I can see some comparisons with some countries in this place, and I want to aver here that the basis of this comparison are not particularly explicable in the sense, Mr. President, that when you compare some of these countries, you find out that most of them are countries where the system works. And where you have some discomfort here, you can find comfort in another arena. Of course, if you look at the infrastructural decay in our country today, Mr. President, the tendency is for us to conclude that, yes, it's because of revenue, lack of revenue, and the rest of them. But, Mr. President, I think I hold a contrary opinion here. That the basic problem that we have in this country is not necessarily because we don't have the revenue, but because, Mr. President, I think our revenues are not being properly managed. And so, Mr. President, I want to find some justification, further justification, for instance, on the area of raising our VAT from 5% to 7.5%. Because, Mr. President, I think that we must be very, very careful here that we don't create problems by attempting to find solutions to our problem. I want to think that the major task that we have is policy implementation and, of course, the proper management of our revenue. In that regard, Mr. President, in our earlier contribution on the general principles of certain bills that have come before us here, some of us have had reason to say, look, we must find a way to prevent some of the
Distinguished Senator Abomoro, just like I said some minutes ago on the report. So what is next for us is after the comments that we will take, we are going to look at the report clause by clause. So we have done the second reading where, of course, our colleagues express either their support or concern about some of the amendments sought. So I think we don't have to go back to do that again. So you can round up, please, your comments.
In that regard, I want to summarize my comment here by saying that I do not find the justification for clause 36 very germane, and that we should reconsider our position on the increment.
Now you have an opportunity when we come to vote on the clauses. You can
message through this committee, and my chairman is listening, that they want to thank the federal government for bringing this innovative legislation, and that it is something that the public had expected for so long. And they asked us as a committee to pass a message to this chamber that they want us on behalf of Nigerians and the economy to pass this bill expeditiously, and that they look forward to a more regular review of the tax regime of Nigeria. And I thought this is an important message which I believe Nigerians deserve to know, and in particular, this chamber deserves to listen to. Thank you, Mr. President.
Chief Whip.
Thank the committee for a job well done, and also thank the leader sitting here for his position on the first day of this bill. Has nothing to do with party, has nothing to do with our color or our height. This bill is about Nigerian people. And this bill is, we are not taxing the very poor. These are all luxurious items for the VAT. So if we are taxing luxurious items, if you don't want to use luxury items, you go back to the item you want to use. So it's a good bill for the society, because it's not a bill that had anything to do with PDP or APC or Young Democratic, what is the Ifeanyi or that party. It's nothing to do. No. Senator, please don't.
Chief Whip, we are protected. Please round up.
So it has nothing to do with anybody. This is about our economy. And if you're an operator of this economy, you will see that we are paying less tax in all fronts. So we need to commend the federal government for their forthrightness, APC-led administration for their forthrightness in bringing in.
Please. No, I think I will gradually withdraw my protection.
Okay, I rather sit down back. I don't want to continue. Thank you very much.
No, round up. You have to round up.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, if anybody is saying that we are waiting for PDP time to present this kind of time, I think their time has gone for a very long time. They would.
I don't think.
To draw your attention on the motive and agenda of the Ninth Senate once again. Mr. President, our motto is to create a legislation that works for Nigeria. While thanking the chairman of the Finance Committee for a job well done, Mr. President, I need to draw the attention of the House on the petroleum profit tax bill. Petroleum is one of the most important aspect of our livelihood today in Nigeria. And it may also be known to the House that 60% of our financial revenue generations in this country is channeled towards importation of petroleum products. Mr. President, I think it would have been so nice if we are debating on removal of petroleum subsidy.
Please just restrict yourself to the subject under discussion. We are just commenting on the report. So just comment on the report and please round up.
Mr. President, yesterday we had a budget defense with the CG of Customs, and it was made known to us that there's an additional 150 kobo to be added. And looking at what is happening today, it is auto-tilting. It will be so bad for Nigerians. The industry is not growing, the downstream industry in Nigeria. 97% of importation of petroleum products in Nigeria is being controlled only by NNPC. Mr. President, looking at this petroleum import tax, profit tax, it is going to add more pains to Nigeria. I am of the opinion that it must be reviewed. And I want to correct the committee. There is no representation of the oil industry in this, open debate. The depot and tank farm owners association were not there. The major oil marketers were not there. So I don't see a true reflection of the industry in that committee. And I stand to be challenged. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gabriel Susan.
I'm not Benue Northeast. Mr. President, I want to join my other colleagues in commending the Finance Committee because issues of tax are very technical and complex. For them to have gone through it within the short period that they had, it's a job well done. But Mr. President, I thank you very much also in trying to restrict those who are mentioning party here. This has got nothing to do with party. Every person is going to be taxed. My basic concern, Mr. President, is that no matter what people say here, like the Chief Whip said that luxurious item, this is going to eventually cascade down to the downtrodden people. And so I'm also concerned, and I raised this concern during the debate on MTEF as it regards the issue of VAT. Some of the amendments sought here on the tax, to repeal some of them and increase it. Some of them, no matter how you look at it, Mr. President, this is something that is going to affect all Nigerians. What I would have expected, I don't know whether that is in the offing, that the federal government should also in the same vein try to create some social safety net that we at least ameliorate the pains that people are going to go through. This is a shock. People are not used to this. Then it comes so sudden. We are representative of the people. And so they must see us as trying to protect and speak on that behalf. No matter how we look at this, eventually it's going to introduce some level of hardship. So if the federal government brings this, they should also find something to mitigate within the short period, even if it's not something that is sustainable. Within the short period, I would expect that there should be some social safety net that will mitigate the pains that will come with this sudden increase in taxable items in some areas. But VAT, Mr. President, when we come to passing VAT, I think, Mr. President, that we need to critically look at it. I've seen the comparison that Patrick Abamoro was talking about. Some of these countries, as a matter of fact, have some social welfare schemes that addresses the pains of the taxes that are so high in those countries. We have not taken that. So I think that for us, yes, we might pass this because the money is already captured in our budget. So if we do not pass them, it then means that the budget becomes unimplementable. And so it does look like we have no option but to pass it. But in passing this, let us look critically at the issue of VAT especially. Because like I said, why the bill seeks to bring in accruable revenue it can also close down some of these areas that we seek to get money from. Because if suddenly I'm supposed to go to maybe a place like Amigo, people will stop going to these places. Those shops will close. So revenue that you seek to get from VAT in those areas, you will not get them. So I think that outside of VAT, the other ones, we can go along with it. But let us look critically at VAT. Let us not just pass that VAT aspect of this financial bill, Mr. President. So I feel with my colleagues that this tax will affect me. It will affect Malam Shetima from Borono. So it's not a tax that has anything to do with party. So people should not talk about party here. We're talking about something that touches and concerns all Nigerians, and us inclusive. And so, Mr. President, we will go ahead to look at consideration, but I appeal with my colleague that let us look critically at the VAT aspect of this financial bill. Mr. President, I so submit.
Thank you very much. Comment that this is not, the 7 bills are not bills trying to put taxes on the masses of Nigeria. Let's not create that impression that we are just going to put taxes on Nigerians. What government is trying to do with those bills, and I'm sure during our debates, senators spoke for it, some were against some of these bills, is to create the revenue necessary for us to create the environment where we are able to provide health care, we are able to provide security, we are able to provide schools, we are able to have an economy that works for everyone. So it's not like we are going to put taxes on Nigerians. I agree with time. We should also be able to look at what are those things that we need to do to, in case some unintended consequences come up, to relieve people of some of these shocks that could happen. But I'm sure that once we are able to get our tax system right, revenues generated, collected, and remitted properly, government should be able to provide a lot of services and a lot of infrastructure that we desperately need. And on the party thing, I serve as an opposition legislator for 16 years. I can't remember when I didn't vote for whatever that I thought was necessary for us to move as a country. Nobody stood up here to speak that he is PDP and therefore is not going to support this thing. Everybody is in this way, and this together, we are going to work for our country. And I believe that we shouldn't be talking too much about what the party, because PDP was in government for 16 years. We work with them. Today, APC is in government. And I believe that in this Senate, we have been working together very, very well, very closely. And I believe that they will support every one single clause that will have to pass. Clauses 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 4. All are sustained. The committee has not introduced anything. They have simply upheld the amendment sought. So I'll put the question. Those in favor that clauses 1, 2, 3, and 4 stand part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The schedule. Those in favor that the schedule stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Long title. Those in favor that the long title stands part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. You are welcome, former DSP, Senator Ike Ekweremadu. You have taught us to be speedy. Thank you very much for this passage of the various clauses. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues,
those in favor that the Senate reverse to plenary for the charge to report progress, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance on the Companies Income Tax Act Amendment Bill 2019 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 23 as recommended, Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance on the Petroleum Profit Tax Amendment Bill 2019. Clause 1 as recommended. Long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance on the Personal Income Tax Amendment Bill 2019 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 8 as recommended, schedule as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance on the Value Added Tax Act Amendment Bill 2019 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 13 as recommended, schedule as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance on the Customs and Excise Tariff etc. Consolidation Act Amendment Bill 2019 and approved as follows. Clause 1 as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance on the Capital Gains Tax Act Amendment Bill 2019 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 3 as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Finance on the Stamp Duties Act Amendment Bill 2019 and approved as follows. Clauses 1 to 4 as recommended, schedule as recommended, long title as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate. A bill for an act to amend the Companies Income Tax Act Cap C21 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 as amended and for other matters connected there with 2019 third reading taken and passed. Leader of the Senate, or clerk, sorry.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to amend the petroleum profit tax and other matters related.
A bill for an act to amend the petroleum profit tax and other matters related therewith 2019 third reading taken and passed. Clerk of the Senate.
Reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Personal Income Tax Act CAP P8 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2007 and for other matters related therewith 2009 third reading taken and passed. Clerk of the Senate. A bill for an act to amend the Value Added Tax Act CAP V1 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2007 and other matters related therewith 2009 third reading taken and passed. Clerk of the Senate. A bill for an act to amend the Customs and Excise Tariff etc. Consolidation Act Cap C49 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Amendment Bill and for other matters related thereof 2019 third reading taken and passed. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President.
A bill for an act to amend the Capital Gains Tax Act Cap C1 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and for other matters related thereof 2019 third reading taken and passed. Clerk of the Senate. A bill for an act to amend the Stamp Duties Act Cap S8 laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2007 and for other related matters thereof 2019 third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, let me thank all of us for passing those amendments to those 7 acts, largely to ensure that we streamline the tax system in Nigeria and ensure that we get revenues for government to provide services and infrastructure to the citizens of this country. What we have done is very significant because this is to ensure that we not only have sources of funding, very credible and of course reliable sources of funding for the 2020 appropriation or the budget, but also for subsequent activities of government. The revenue generating agencies would have to sit up. The National Assembly, particularly the Senate, will be mounting a lot of oversight on the revenue generating agencies. If they have targets, we must ensure they meet the targets. And if they meet the targets, we must ensure they get even higher targets to achieve. What we intend to do is to continuously, on a regular quarterly basis, engage with the revenue generating agencies to be evaluating their performances on how they are generating the revenues, what their challenges are, and where they have no challenges, how can we achieve better outcomes in terms of generation, collection, and remittances. We must ensure that any agency that is charged with this responsibility does its work effectively and efficiently. I believe that our Senate Committee on Finance and the other related committees like National Planning going forward will have a lot of work to do for the 12 months in the 2020 year coming next year. I believe that what we have done is not to put taxes or burden on the ordinary people. What we have done is to create more revenues to provide services and infrastructure for Nigerians, including the ordinary people. I want to also commend all of us that this exercise was done on a very bipartisan manner, and that is what we are known for. Of course, some observations were made. I believe that some of those observations were genuine and the intentions were patriotic, and therefore there was nothing partisan about any issue raised by anyone in this chamber. Thank you very much. And capacity to work. It's unfortunate we are not able to tap into those capacities that we have to adjourn. But I want to assure you, Tuesday maybe you will stay here until 3 or 4 p.m. if that is your wish. Those comments, I will put the question that those in favor that the Senate do adjourn till Tuesday, 26th of November. Name from.
Good evening.